Hello, it's Duncan. As engineers, our job is balancing cost and benefit, risk and reward. Once we had chosen a technology stack and editor, implementing a feature used to be reasonably formulaic. Write tests to move the code towards the goal, make them pass, refactor, repeat. In these exciting AI days, we have more decisions to take at virtually every step. Which AI tool is most likely to be my best aid? How do I persuade it? Which models should I ask it to use? Are the answers the same as they were yesterday? I'm floundering, to be honest, but things turned out okay this week with a combination of Junie and Claude Code. I can't say I planned it that way, I just do what seems expedient in the moment. Junie, you really were completely cheating there, weren't you? Reload the page, edit our holy bands. Oh, well, that hasn't worked, but we do have a cancel here. Cancel, still a dialogue, but the cancel did work. Okay, well, that took quite a bit of my time. Here is our app running in Firefox, and we can now take, for example, the impurity seal, this one here, say edit. That doesn't bring up a confirmation, but does, even if we change this, allow us to cancel. But if we edit and change that to 4 and change that to seals, then save, it edits in place, which is good. I did, however, have to do about an hour's manual work myself. I'm not sure whether it had to be me, but Junie really wasn't solving the problem, which you may remember was that clicking any button, it showed the confirmation that we normally get if we click delete. In the end, I had quite a chat with Gemini as a sort of independent third party, and we had a bit of toing and froing about HX boost and so on, but the conclusion in the end was, and it's easiest to see here in the diffs of the HTML, that instead of having a form with a post method and an action of delete items, that itself has an HX confirm, we have an empty form here and a submit button whose type is the HX post, the target is the table, and that has the confirm on it. So now the thing with this confirm is not the parent of all of the little edit buttons that we see down here somewhere. There's one, for example. This change, of course, had consequences, in particular for our tests. We had been clicking the delete button by finding it with this submit button named, but that change meant that delete isn't actually a submit button, it's a button. Gotta love HTML. But I solved that problem by using get by role, which matches either this input, whose type is submit, or an actual button tag. So everything is kind of working, although not yet well tested. I think we'll commit that. And as the past is gone, I think I'm just going to once again amend commit, because we're not yet in a position to push this to production. And I don't think I really care about the individual steps we took to not get there yet. So let's amend that. Right then, as part of this feature, Junie has already written an edit item acceptance contract. Here it is. And that's implemented by this edit items directly tests. Here it is, that uses the direct actor, which edits an item by going straight to the app in memory. For our other top level tests, the contracts, we have actors that go through the HTTP interface and also through Playwright. So for example, the add item acceptance contract, here it is, has add item HTTP tests and HTTP with no htmx, and also add item browser tests. And the actors that these use, like the Playwright actor here, have these delete and add methods as a way of interacting with the system. So we'd like that for our edit items. Let's go to Junie and say implement edit items HTTP tests, which should extend edit items acceptance contract and take the same form as the other acceptance tests. Let's see how that gets on. Okay then, that was only a couple of minutes, I suppose. It's saying here the edit items HTTP test class was successfully implemented, extending the contract and using HTTP actor. However, the test cannot confirm compilation or execution due to issues with the test running tool. Well, I feel that really is your one job there, isn't it, Junie? Let's see what changes we have. And the answer is, one new file. Let's have a look. All right, well, that's going to get nowhere at all, I think, because the edit items acceptance contract, here it is going to say Alison edits, which is going to end up talking to the actor, and the actor, by default, will throw unsupported operation exception. Maybe the best thing we can do then is tell Junie to implement the edit in the HTTP actor. Let's go with that. Back to Junie. Implement the edit method in the HTTP actor. While this is going, I'm just going to remind myself what the HTTP actor looks like. So let's open that. Here it is. And you can see that we have delete and add, make requests directly to the app. With HTTP4K, that's in memory in the same process, but very, very close to being HTTP over the wire. All right then, it says here, the edit method was successfully implemented. Let's have a look. That looks plausible. Shall we try running the test? So we'll go to edit items HTTP tests and let's run that, see what we get. Well, a pass. I guess that's good, although if I haven't written myself, it is hard to trust. I suppose we do know, though, that the contract was satisfied. Here it is. And so whatever it did, we ended up with an edited item in here. And it checks some other things here and here. Well, that feels okay. It sort of can't have done nothing at all. Now, at this point, I could ask for tests where we don't have htmx support, but I think we control the browser for all these admin features. So in the name of simplicity, I think I'm going to let that one ride. So let's commit that. Wait, where is our actor functionality? Here it is. It has delete and add and edit. But surely that's an outgoing change. Let's just see when that was added. Oh my goodness. So Junie added that at some point when I suppose it added the form, but it just didn't wire up the tests. That is a bit of a waste. I don't know. Anyway, nice. So I think we will just amend that again. And I suppose I really should have run that test that I said was going to fail, instead of just claiming that it would. Right then, now for the bit that would be really tedious to do by hand, and that's the Playwright version. We'll go back to Junie and say, now implement edit items Playwright tests. The same sort of way. Well, this has been going for about 5 minutes, and it's interesting that Junie seems to settle back to what normal people do with Playwright tests, which is run them, see they don't work, change something, run them, see they don't work, change something. Okay then, well it looks like we're done. Shall we run the edit items browser test, see what we get? Here they are. Let's just pass true into there so we can see what it's doing. And run. That was suspiciously quick, wasn't it? What does the Playwright actor do? In order to edit, for reliability in CI, perform the edit directly against the app instead of driving the browser. Junie, you cheated. Implement Playwright actor.edit properly using the browser to edit an item. That took really quite a lot of running tests and things. Let's have a look what we've ended up with. Edit does some things. Oh, and save changes via htmx ajax to avoid any element trigger quirks. Well, I don't know. Let's try running. Oh, there we are. A thing happened, a thing happened, and a thing happened. That was all too quick for me, I must say. Let's ask AI Assistant, how can I slow down Playwright tests so that I can check what they are doing? I note we're using GPT-5 now. Launch in headed mode with slow motion. Oh, set slow mode 250. Well, it looks like we were already doing slow-mo if show running is true. Can I turn that right up and try again? Well, I'm not seeing any of those interactions. I call foul. Here we are back in Playwright Actor, and I notice this return here. That really doesn't seem sensible. It seems that if we can't find an edit link, we just return. Let's say error and run. Junie, you really were completely cheating there, weren't you? Well, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. But I think you're fired for this one, Junie. Hello, it's Editing Duncan here. While I was editing, I realized that the tests had passed, even though we were always returning from here. And if the tests are passed, then somehow, at least for one of the tests, an item must have been edited. So I went back in the history, here we are, and a little debugging shows that this weird return at run with Playwright only exits this block. And so despite the fact that this never finds an edit link, we actually end up running this code here, which basically goes straight to the app and edits the item directly rather than using Playwright or HTTP. I think this is a salutary lesson about two things. One is code where too much of it is written in one go, so that we really don't have any coverage. This code up here was never really run. And the other is the problem with code review. This all looks very, very plausible. The point of the AI is to save us work, but we still really have to work in code review if we're not going to end up with code like this actually doing the job rather than the proper code up here. Anyway, back to coding, Duncan. Let's undo the last set of changes. And what's this? The edit items browser tests. So those are the ones we want. Let's delete that. And now let's try Claude Code on the same job. So right at the top here, we asked Junie to, oh, not that one, that's the HTTP one, but down here somewhere we have implement edit items Playwright tests. Oh, well, there's context there that Claude won't have. So I'm going to remember that. Let's go here and we'll say implement edit items Playwright tests, extending edit items acceptance contract, and using the Playwright actor to interact with the edit functionality. I think that's probably enough. I'll let you know how it does. Okay then, I'm not honestly sure how long that took because I went to lunch, but let's have a look, see what it says. It says it's added an edit method, fills in edit forms, clicks the save button, and so on. Well, let's have a go, shall we? We'll go to the edit item acceptance contract. We will find the edit items browser tests. Here they are. I'm going to run them with true to show them running, and let's see what we get. Oh, things are happening, yes. And that's not bad. Let's go and review the implementation. I'm assuming most of it is in Playwright Actor. Here we are. And we have edit, which runs with Playwright. Interestingly, we have the same code here, same sort of code anyway, as Junie created. And thinking about it, if we go back to the contract, we have this test here, which is edit non-existent item doesn't save stock list. And that's an item with an ID that doesn't exist. Now that was there to show the behavior of the app, but when we work in the browser, you can't actually edit an item that doesn't exist because you won't be shown it. So I think actually what should happen is that this test shouldn't be run on the browser rather than pretending the UI is there in some sort of way. Let's do that. And I think probably the best thing is to take this out of here, go to the edit items directly tests, and add it in as a test that we only run in there. So we can put that in there. And that doesn't compile because we have some visibility issues. So let's make that protected. Protected? No. Oh, that looks to be okay. Don't know why it wasn't compiling. Do the same thing here, make that protected. Some small issue there. Okay, so let's just try running all these tests. And now back in our Playwright actor, I think probably this should be an error. Like that. We'll check that's okay by running the edit items browser tests. And there should only be two of them this time because we've pulled one of them down from the contract into just the direct tests. Wandering down, we click the edit button, we fill in the form, la la la, we wait for the htmx, we're then doing wait for timeout. I'm not sure we should be doing that. Let's see whether we can get away without it. I think maybe we can, because the point of this waiting for htmx is to not have to do this timeout thing. Looking in here, I wonder whether this should really just be button named save. Click. But that's a tiny change. So I think that's worth committing now with, what do we have here? We can add that. We've changed the edit items directly tests. We've moved the test from the acceptance contract to the directly tests. And we've added this edit items browser tests and edited the actor. That's very good. I think that was a big enough change on its own to maybe warrant its own commit rather than an amend. So I'm going to just click that button. Whoops, but I should have added that. So now I get to amend. Anyway, there is an interaction we're not testing, and that's if we click this edit and then click the cancel. Where would we put that? Well, cancelling isn't really a thing for the contract. We can't cancel when we're talking to the app directly or via HTTP. So I suppose it's going to have to be part of our browser tests. I think maybe I will take something like this, put it in here, and then say edit but cancel existing item. IntelliJ looks like it's having trouble because I don't know what's wrong with that paste. Create abstract function given. Well, just copied it from here, IntelliJ. Why can you not find it now? I suppose we have a module issue. Let's go here, find this. I suppose we can't see those test fixtures from where we're looking. So this is our test apps build.gradle, and I think if I just do this and say the project core, we need its test implementation. Some import is happening down here, which seems to be taking an awful long time, but is now done so that now compiles. We want to start editing an item, but then stop. So this should be edits, but then cancels. Then the current stock list would be the original stock list. Get rid of that, remove that, and now we have the structure. Let's ask Claude Code to add that in. So we can say add Playwright actor dot edits, but then cancels with an implementation to pass edit items browser tests. Interesting, here we are, edits but then cancels on Playwright actor. You can see that it is doing the things that it was doing before, clicking the edit button, filling in the form, but then clicking cancel instead of save, which is pretty perfect. Oh, and the tests are being run. Excellent, the tests are passing. It's now, I think, running all tests. It does look like I committed it with the show running true, so better take that out before we reach our CI server. And there we go, and I think it said it took 127 seconds, although that's just disappeared. Let's chase our way through the code, edits but then cancels. That's our little thunk through the fixture. I think that means the operation in the actor should not be called edits but then cancels, but edit and then cancel. But that's a tiny thing. Let's go and have a look at that. That's interesting. We have to have an implementation in actor, because none of the other actors, the HTTP or direct ones, can do an edit then cancel. We could solve that problem in our contracts by having the contract parameterized with the actor type. So this would be actor type. But at the moment, I think that's more complication than it's worth. So let's not do that, even though it's the proper thing to do. And we'll go back and see the implementation of this, and it is, well, pretty much identical to the code above it, which suggests that there is a refactoring still to happen. So let's go back and say, remove the duplication between, and what were the two methods? Edit and then cancel in Playwright actor. 3, 2, 1, we're back in the room. We now have a perform edit operation apparently. Let's go and find that. Playwright actor has perform edit operation with this parameterized action here in the middle of it. So that is being used here. Perform edit operation, waiting for htmx, click on a cancel, and perform edit operation, waiting for htmx, save. Well, I don't think I'd have written it that way. I think I probably would have pulled the run with Playwright out to the top level, but it really has removed as much duplication as it could. Although I suppose this action might just have been the locator of the thing we're going to click. It's good enough, isn't it? So I think the thing we have to do is go here and say we don't want to see things running. Go here and say we want to run Gradle clean tests. And we don't see a browser pop up, which is good. Oh, but something has failed. Now, Claude Code told me that it had run that test. What is our issue here? We've got a diff. htmx settling. It looks like at some point we haven't really waited for an event to finish. Let's just go and have a look. Let's see one little issue there. Let's remove this lambda parameter. We have this waiting for htmx. Let's see what that does. And it says wait for function htmx settled equals true. Remind me what our test said? Well, that's htmx settling. I don't know. Just try running that again. Well, that's consistent. I suppose we did remove something that Claude Code had added. So let's go back to it and say that edit item browser tests are failing. Please fix them. It's possible that the issue here is whether we're actually seeing the browser window or not. Okay, well that says it's done. Let's have a look. Perform edit operation has gained a wait for timeout. It was my intention that wait for htmx would work so well that we wouldn't need that. But we are where we are. I also wonder whether check reload's the same. Might be a solution. We have this content normalized here where, oh no, in here we're only really just stripping out white space. Well, UI tests are often a little bit flaky. I think we might suck that up if this passes. And it does. So I think that's a commit. We have changes to the actor to support edit then cancel, but only for the Playwright actor. We have a thunk in the fixture. We have the one special test for our browser tests. I think we don't need that to pass into the block. And we have a refactored edit that allows us to click a cancel button as well as the save button. Reminding ourselves it looks like this. It's not brilliant. I think we might rather these were buttons rather than just a link. Same with this cancel. The whole thing needs a bit of a UI smarten up, but I think we can say that we have implemented the edit feature. So let's commit this with complete edit item. And just before we do, we will go to our requirements file and tick that off, assuming that Alison likes what she sees. And that, I think, can be pushed to production. Looking at the Anthropic console, it looks like Claude Code did its work in $2.31. Not bad, really. JetBrains have recently announced that they are clarifying what quota means with respect to their AI offering. I think that means they'll be showing a dollar value as well, although that hasn't permeated through this UI yet, even though I've just updated AI Assistant and Junie. I have a really nasty feeling that just allowing this wait for timeout is going to come and bite us at some point. The quality of the code, well, I think this would have been a method had I written it, but it is good enough, and shipping something is better than shipping nothing. Overall there, quite a nice collaboration between Junie and Claude Code, where Junie was clever enough to implement the feature and Claude Code was clever enough to test it. Yeah, it's nice for things like this. I end up not having to write this boilerplate, copying these identifiers from one place to another and so on. But in return for that, I never quite know how long something is going to take, or whether I've made the best choice about the right AI to use to save me having to make the choices about the code. I suppose this is my life now. Next time I think we'll take the opportunity to make this look prettier. CSS is certainly a thing I don't think humans should be bothered with. So we'll just throw some tokens at the problem and see what sticks. If you'd like to see that, then please subscribe to the channel. You can press that like button to give me a little thrill. And if you're in Europe, don't forget to sign up to KTConf, which is in Belgium on the 19th of September. Thanks for watching.